Jose, where can they get that shirt?
Oh, if you want a little something busting out of you, I don't know if I should phrase it that way, but if you want a little something busting out of you, then you can go to the Not a Strong Start store, which George will provide the link for us down below in our description. So make sure you go in there. You can find this and a lot of other Not a Strong Start merchandise.
Oh no, I'm just stripes. I'm just stripey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this bonus NAS episode. I am your chief officer for this episode, Jose.
I'm your security liaison, George.
Uh, what am I? I'm not your Mary Sue, that's for sure.
No,
Nope.
You are our science officer.
there you
There we go.
Sure, science.
So you better
go.
get sciencey today. If you haven't
Read
guessed
this.
it by our new professions and our new titles, we're gonna be covering Alien Earth, specifically episode 5. Now we previously covered the first 3 episodes in one. We covered episode 4 last week, which you can find on our Not a Strong Start channel. And for those who have not watched episode 5, this will be spoiler filled. We're gonna get into everything that we can get into and talk about everything. So if you haven't watched it, just make sure you save us into watch later folder and then come back to this episode. Before we go any further, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
Through the years of cinema, we've laughed. We've screamed. We've cried. Forever asking the question.
What the hell does that mean?
Well, no longer do you have to sit there in wonderment, attempting to figure out what your cinephile friend is going on about with terms like cinematography, ADR, or Dutch angles. Thanks to the good people over at Cinematicalism, they've done the impossible and compiled a 500-plus page book filled with on-set jargon and filmmaking terminology, all broken down and digestible for all levels of film fans, from the leisured moviegoer to tenured filmmaking pros. What is the book? I'm getting to it. It's the Comprehensive Dictionary of Cinema, filled with 1,500 terms culminating across 9 sections. Enjoy the language of cinema, from industry slang to academic theory, visual tropes to cultural movements, all curated by filmmaking professionals who have over 20 years of experience working in the industry. Where can we get it? Back it now on Kickstarter. Click our link below to be part of the many backers who have made the Comprehensive Dictionary of Cinema a project we love on Kickstarter. Hitting their goal within the first 15 minutes, now let's help them reach those stretch goals of a VCR player. Yes, you heard that right. With plenty of package bundles to choose from, there's no wrong way to support Cinematicalism. Again, click our link in the description and back the Comprehensive Dictionary of Cinema today. Coming soon this winter.
With no further ado, let's just focus on the now, and that is episode 5. Let's get right into it. Episode 5, it kind of brought us back a little bit. It put a pause to the main story that we've been following, although this is part of the main story, but it kind of backtracked us and finally let us know what went down on that ship prior to it getting to Earth. So we got like that full scope and it fully focused on that. Which, funny enough, I believe last week I mentioned like I wanted that. I wanted the episode to cover that. And they were like, hey, bet, say no more. I got you. And that's exactly what they
I feel
gave
like
you.
this episode answered a lot of things that we were talking about last week.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it covered they're listening to us.
Right?
All right.
Yeah.
Utani, they got eyes everywhere. So now let's start with the first thing we've kind of introduced in this episode is the loss of containment and the crew being compromised. That's kind of where we start in this episode.
It kind of brings us back to that feeling again, like how episode 1 was like, this feels like Alien. Like you feel like you're on the Nostromo again, and just how everyone's responsibilities, and you're seeing how everyone plays a part on this ship. And so like we get to discover what Morrow is. Like he is their security officer. So we know like why he's so in not just in charge, but so in control of everything because it's his job to make sure that everyone gets home safe, but more importantly, that everything gets home safe. And this shows like why he's so present about that objective. And we get to see how everyone else handles what's happening, and we get to see why everything went down. That there was a fire that just randomly went off, and we have our two face huggers take out the captain, and I forget what the other guy did, but he was the love interest of the second in command.
Oh, the other, I believe he was, wasn't he also like a with
Was he a
science? Like,
scientist?
I think he was part of the science crew too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't really recall because we didn't get to
And I
see him
think,
do much because he was
yeah, I
taken.
think that's how they connected because I think she's executive officer, but I think she also leads the science. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
what their t full like who reports to who there.
yeah, yeah. But we
We do
get to
know that.
see all that kind of play out, and now it becomes an investigation like episode. Like this whole series has been a mystery, but this turns this episode specifically into like a murder mystery-esque situation where we're following our Sherlock, who is Morrow, and trying to like uncover everything that's happened.
Yeah, and you called it. So, Morrow wakes up and shit's already happening. The fire already occurred. All of a sudden, the two crew members, like you said, are compromised. So they both got hit with the face huggers. But we see right off the bat, one is still alive. The other one's dead because one of the scientists there tried to tamper with it. And
Yeah,
we know from experience, you don't try to tamper with it because you're going to kill the host. One's already dead and gone, and that's the captain. The captain is out of the picture right off of the bat. Here, again, you're seeing some of the power dynamics. So, with the captain being dead, this pushes, I believe her name was Savari.
yeah,
This pushes her. She's the new captain because she was the
Mhm.
executive officer. So now she's in charge. And the protocol in these situations with a compromised crew member is to put them in cryo. And, we remember this same protocol from past alien movies. They actually followed the protocol here where you're supposed to do, unlike the past where it wasn't always followed and they put it into the cryo, not listening to the voice of reason, which was the engineer. That was just like, just shoot it out the ship, just get it out of here. George mentioned that Morrow is the kind of the detective here. If this is, Knives Out, he's Daniel Craig, solving everything here. But what I like about this episode is that we start getting into Morrow's past,
yeah.
and we start seeing some of the background. And his daughter's real. I've been questioning it for a little bit. I'm like, is he using that as anything like that? But we got to see a little bit of his past. Marie, what were your thoughts on the details that kind of revealed from his past, and just diving a little bit more into who he is and what made him that?
Loved it. I was like, finally, we get to see some backstory into a character that makes us connect and care about a character. He already was my favorite character in the show because I feel like even though he's so stoic a lot of the time, you can feel the emotion beneath the surface with him and his like passion to get this done. And his character's like simple, but really you can feel all the complexities about his character beneath the surface, which I think is just an amazing performance by him. But also it's created a lot more character depth. And I felt deep down that he really was a father. I didn't think that part was just strictly used to manipulate. I think he also was too good at manipulating the children, well, the hybrids to like not have had a child in his life to like learn how to do it. Like he was too good. Like he knew how a kid's minds worked,
Yeah.
like too well. And I love when things are sad and heartbreaking and touching and just seeing that backstory. And I loved the whole like song that was playing in the episode when he's looking at all the memories. It's from Fallout too, so I was like extra happy. And so I was just like, this is the type of scene I've been waiting for in this series, like the whole time. And I loved it. And yeah, my husband and I are both like, oh shit. Oh
Uh,
shit. No, no. Like, oh, don't show us this. But also show us
Yeah.
this because we like feeling stuff. So yeah, I liked it. I liked having that humanity come through.
No, Marie, that is a very good point. I'm really glad that we got into it. So you can tell in the early episode there's some depth to explore with this character, but we weren't getting it because everything, while the show had this essence of a slow pace, the story itself was kind of moving along rapidly, even though the scenes themselves were paced slowly. So we weren't really getting into it, except for Wendy. That her and her brother is the one that we got the most background on. So we did find out they had a daughter. Not only did we find out the daughter, we find out that
Ugh.
unfortunately the daughter, passed away
Mm.
tragically in a fire. So doesn't have a home because the home burned down. It literally doesn't have anything to come back to. So when in that other episode, he basically says like, "No, I'm gonna finish this mission because this is all I have." I felt you kind of really understood his motivation through the first four episodes in this episode. First of all, you get why he's so gung ho about finishing the mission. He gave up, what was 65 years of his life
yeah.
to do this. He literally has nothing left. Lost his daughter, lost his home, which who knows if she would have still been alive, even if she didn't die tragically because of the length of time. So he's got nothing to emotionally connect to that's alive. And then, as we're gonna explore in this episode, judging by the human behavior that we have in this episode, I can see why he doesn't give a crap about humans and doesn't really want to be put in the same box with them. I can see why he's just like, oh no, not dealing with humans. You
Yeah.
fully understand his motivation.
I think this episode also showcases Morrow does care, I think, about people. Like I think he did want to save his crew. It's just as you said, like things happen in this episode where like you get where he's like, F it, forget these. Like I think he tried his best at first, like I'm gonna get everyone saved, but hey, if you mess up, I can only do so much. I feel like that was kind of his attitude over time. And I agree with Marie also. Like I'm starting to actually like his character even more and more. Like he's getting the most growth out of any character in this whole series so far, which has been actually very enjoyable to watch. Like I'm actually excited. Like I want him to almost succeed. Like it's
Yes.
weird. Like that's kind of where I'm
Mhm.
at now after watching this episode. I was like, I hope he pulls it off now. I hope he gets those
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah.
Give the man his
Especially
eggs.
especially because like we've been watching these episodes and been wondering, who was at fault. Like I'm pretty sure for some of us, like we thought he could be a bad guy. He could be one of the reasons why things went wrong. But then we come to find out it's not him. So when that comes to fruition, it's like, oh shoot, he's actually is kind of a good guy. Like he's not really bad. He's just mission oriented. That's all. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's someone who's like, after everything, it has to be worth something. I have to finish. He
Yeah.
can't give up because of everything he sacrificed
Yeah.
for it. So it's like you can understand that. And we also find
Mm.
out that his arm cybernetics, those weren't just for like, hey, I want this or have fun. When he was found, he was brought in by Jutani, he had a messed up arm. So, he got enhanced not out of luxury, out of necessity, out of
Yeah.
need. So we find that out. So that adds a little bit more to his character and why maybe he also has this loyalty. The fact that they
Yes.
brought him in, they took care of him. Even while he was away, from the letters, you can see it looks like they tried to take care of his daughter and give her an education, even if she didn't want it. So again, we get in those aspects. So big on Morrow for this episode. Moving
Mhm.
a little bit away from Morrow. Let's get into what I call the jailbreak scene, and touching a little bit on the creatures themselves.
Uh-huh.
So we have that scene in like in the little lab where you have the leeches in there, and you have the octopus, as I like to call it. in there, and then you have what's her name? Shibuzo?
She's a sabozo for what she
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
She's
Let's call her Chibs. We got
yeah.
Chibs
Yeah.
there, and she's studying the leashes, and the octopus is there. I mean, real name's the Oculus, but I'm gonna call it the octopus. Is there just kind
Hmm.
of observing and watching, and then a little thing happens there that I know it has people on kind of two different sides of what actually occurred here, and I'm curious
Mm.
to see how you guys see it. So, first of all, we see that even these little leeches have a level of intelligence to them, a little level of a strategy. And they take advantage of Shib's negligence. Shib sucks at her job, and we see it
Big
here.
time.
She leaves a window open for one of the leashes to be able to find a little crack and open the its cell, let's call it cell, of the capsule, and escape out. But as this is escaping out, we see the octopus look at the leash escaping, look at her, and then start knocking on this capsule. So, which we found interesting. And there's two thought processes here with it. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people believe that the octopus was trying to warn Chips that the creature was there, and then her and her obliviousness was like, oh no, like blah blah blah. My thought process is was trying to distract her so the leash can do its thing, so she wouldn't
Mhm.
see it going across, kind of pull her attention to it. That's my thought process with it. How did you guys feel about this scene? And do you feel the octopus was trying to warn her that the leech came out, or trying to distract her so the leech can do its thing?
First of all, I just want to say that like no one is competent at their jobs in this whole thing. It kind of is like, is this on purpose? Like, did they how were these people hired? Were they not trained? It's just it to me. I'm watching the episode. I'm like, none of these people are competent except for like Morrow. That's it. Like
Yeah.
everyone sucks at their jobs. I like that one doctor guy. He was like one of my favorite characters in the I forget his name. I was just like, damn, all these people suck so bad at their jobs. Don't know how they got put on this mission. Did no one else sign up? Anyway, that scene, first of all, that scene to me, I was thinking this is a much better introduction to the other creatures and aliens than what we got. I liked seeing the intelligence behind these aliens right away and seeing them, not right away. I would have liked to see it right away in like the first episode. So I think that the eye was distracting her, not warning her because I think the eye has like ulterior motives, the octopus. Um, and yes, I think it was to distract. And I would have appreciated the scene earlier in the series, I think.
First off, I second Marie on the idiocy of the whole crew. This
This,
episode just like locked in more of what I've been saying for this whole series. No sense of urgency, no sense of how to do their jobs. Like no one's good at their
yes,
jobs. This is what annoys me
no,
about current day writing is that the only way they know how to build up a character like Morrow is by making everyone else seem insufficient. Like there's no way
yeah.
anyone else could be good at their jobs and he could be good at his job too. Like it's super annoying to me how they write all these characters. That being said, I'm actually on the opposite end of you guys. I believe that the eye was actually trying to warn her of what was happening, and there's proof in the episode, I believe, later on, when the eye is actually inside another being, and instead of attacking them, it actually looks like it's helping them to fight off the xenomorph.
And we will get into it, but I saw that scene a little bit differently also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I think
But
I think that this eye might not be as nefarious as the show has been showing.
Mhm.
Like it's obviously doing things that are bad on the living side of things, but like it has the only way for it to do its thing is by going inside of a being like that may have been alive at first or whatever. Like I think that's just part of its process. It's a dirty process. It sucks, but I think that it is possibly on the nicer side of things as opposed to like the xenomorph or those ticks or the leeches, whatever.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
okay.
No, it's definitely gonna, and this is the thing. I like that that scene created two separate arguments, and it's easy to argue both sides with what occurred in this episode, starting with that scene when it comes to the octopus, and I like that. It left it gray enough where you can literally argue both sides,
Yeah.
and at this point not be wrong until we get more evidence, going
Mm.
forward. Uh, but the octopus in the end, with Chibs again being incompetent as it is and being distracted, does not secure the case for the octopus. Octopus notices red means not secure, green means secure, and uses that to knock its little container off and escape. But I do want to get into, because you guys touched a little bit on the incompetency of the crew. So I want to get into the crew because we saw them a little bit in episode one, and it was a very happy scene. And we saw how they were kind of going at each other, and everything seemed okay, but we didn't get enough on who these people are. This episode, we really see a deeper look on a lot of these characters. There is a lot of incompetency in it, and in the way I saw it, judging by some of the interactions and how certain things were handled, these are not the best of the best. Morrow is the only one who has like a trust. He's competent, but he also has a trust. He had the trust of the mother who's no longer alive, who sent him there. But even like you look at the apprentice, he doesn't even know like words. It seems like for this type of mission, it probably was not an attractive mission. You can't really have anything that you're gonna miss in your life because your whole life's gonna be gone. It's a 65-year mission to go to possibly dangerous areas, get dangerous like specimens, and when you come back, everything is gone. These people are doing it for money. And you see how money is used as a power tool in this episode. Anytime you're trying to silence someone, there's a disagreement, is we're going to remove this from your share. We're going to take away 1/16 from your share. That is what's being held over everyone's head. So it made it believable for me that some of this crew, or most of this crew, is so incompetent, because it seemed to me these were desperate people that were then maybe their lives weren't great, were desperate for money. They were willing to take such a shitty mission up to this point and are just relying on the money. So they probably did not have the best training. That again, that apprentice has been there for 65 years, and he's even when they were working on the ship, what was he doing? All the work was being done by the other guy. He was just kind of there hanging out, being asked to bring a wrench over. So that was at least the way I saw the crew themselves. They might have, some of them might have some ability, but overall, this is not the best of the best. This is the desperate crew that we were willing to convince and bribe with money to come on here. But anything else, you guys? I know you touched on the incompetence of the crew, but any other things you want to discuss regarding the crew themselves or any of the individuals?
I think just the way the show introed with that young kid who wakes up Morrow and his attitude towards the situation was so lackadaisical that it annoyed the crap out of me. Because he's talking about the fact the captain's dead and the other guy's probably gonna die too. He's like, yeah, this thing happened and the captain's dead and we got there's two dead people. It's like, why are you happy about this? Why is this a happy
Mm.
moment for you? This is a dire situation. The captain's dead and like the engines are compromised. Like there was a fire. Like you should be worried because you're in the middle of space where there's no one to help you. So like the fact, and he's so you figure when you're younger you'd be more afraid, because you don't know enough to
Mm.
save anything. And so it's just weird that he was just like so cool. He's like, yeah, these people they're having sex with each other. They're having like an affair, whatever crap. It's like it became a gossip corner out of nowhere. Like
He's the tea
everything
guy.
about what was happening there, I was like, who the hell are you? Like what is your job here? Like that you just have no concern and wherewithal of like the weight of the situation that you're dealing with. Like that just annoyed the crap out of me. And then when he died, I was like, good, I don't care because you
Funny
you
enough,
you brought nothing to him.
he's a junior security officer. He's basically Morrow's apprentice.
Yeah.
Which I will say to that, it's like
Mm.
the apprentices not being smart, they're apprentices. They're not gonna be smart. You know? And you said like the 65-year thing. It's like it's 65 years on Earth, but not 65 years for them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're not aging 65 years. They're not working 65 years. That's only for like Earth people that they understand that, or they would be living through that. So like he's only probably only been there for maybe a year or two, you know? He doesn't know any shit. Like that's reasonable. But the guy he worked with was smart, like in his position. You know, he understood things of the world, he understood his job. Like I feel like the people should be a little bit better than what they were. Like they none of them were good at all. Like I think back to Alien
Yeah.
and Aliens, those people are probably in a similar situation. They still seem like they're better at their jobs. Yeah, you know, it's like there's just like no level of like you don't belong here at all. Like I think today's your first day at everything.
I,
Yeah.
I am wondering, sorry, Marie. I am wondering, this made me think, especially since they discussed there's other people in cryo that are sleeping.
Yeah.
Like Petrovich was supposed to be like sleeping in there. And how they do like rotations. Has this kid not really seen anything because are they woken up only for specific situations? So like when they got to like a planet, he goes to sleep. Some of them go to sleep and they kind of wake up the specialist for like that aspect, and then they
Mm.
put them back to sleep and then wake up the other ones where it's like, okay, we're in the ship, we're just flying back, we don't need too much done. We can wake up like these people and have them up. That's what made me want to get through these 65 years and have some of them still be kind of young, as you kind of hinted at. A lot of them might have been sleeping for a very long time, and maybe the weakest people were awoken during parts that are supposed to be simple. We're flying back. We're like 2 weeks away from getting home. There's no way you can fuck up. They found a way. So, but Marie, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know how difficult or how much you need to know or train or anything to space travel in the future. Like, I don't know if it's just gonna be easy, put you in cryo and shoot you up there. But I would assume that everyone who has to go on a space mission would need some sort of space training, some sort of space engineer. Like they would have gone, have some like degree, something, like they'd have something, right? Like they would have been trained. I would think they would have had to have some training or some degree to go into space, because that's how the world is. Does that just go away in the future? So these people are just like dumbasses from the street. Like it really seemed like they were dumbasses from the street. Like it looks like they were like went up to like a grease monkey at a car mechanic, and they're like, "Hey, you want to go into space?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure. I was going to space 5 years. I have no family." It's like that doesn't seem. It just believability of anything along not anything, but there's just like some believability in like the capabilities of everything in the future, where it's like people just it doesn't make sense as humans. And I think I blame a lot of that on the script, because the script to me I've complained about a bunch of times, but just if the script was better, then maybe it'd be like, okay, these people are not good at their jobs, but they're not like complete idiots. Like these people seemed like complete idiots. And I'm sure they would still need some sort. I mean, even if you think about a shitty astronaut still has to become an astronaut and be an astronaut, and that's still better than like a random person with no astronaut training going up into space. Is I just felt like, what are their credentials? They literally hired them from where? Why would this company pick the company with so much at risk and so much at stake pick these people? It just didn't, the believability is out the window. And I know it's, hello, it's a sci-fi, whatever movie or show. So it's like, put the believability aside. But there's been so many of those instances in this show where I'm like, these people really aren't believable as humans. So yeah, that's all.
I
I
will say
think
this: we have been mentioning about the incompetence of the crew, but I will say that they're at a we met in this episode. I was 7, 8 or something like that, around there. They weren't all incompetent, so we do have Morrow who was competent.
I like
Uh,
he's
he's
the only
okay.
one.
He's
He's the only
good.
one.
no,
He's
Yeah.
the only one.
I feel Shmuel, the engineer, was competent, and he was one of the more logical people in there. Not only was he's the one who was like, "There's got to be a saboteur." He's the one that brought that to the attention of Morrow. He's the one
That's
that was
true.
like,
That's
"Okay,
true.
we got to throw that out." He was the one actually fixing things because the apprentice wasn't helping him in that. The Rahim actually seemed competent
He grew on me as the episode
in
went.
his
Yeah.
procedure. And then with
Well, was he
Savari,
competent or was he just a good heart? Because
He was definitely a good heart.
the competent thing would have been don't do this. Like this guy's
Yeah.
compromised. We're at
Hmm.
stake at being in danger right now. Because everyone
but
else is like we
Hmm.
shouldn't do this.
I
Hmm.
mean, he also was following orders. She gave the order to do that,
Yeah, but
Savari,
her
which
order was dumb.
it is, but she is
You don't.
there is that chain of command in there, and so
Nah.
Savari sucked as a leader, but
Yeah.
we don't know how she was in her original role, where maybe she could have been. We never got to see that side of it. So there was a mix. I don't want to portray the picture that every single person was absolutely horrible at everything that they did in there, because there was some competence mixed in with within those that were awake. And it seems like Petrovich was competent enough to be able to be making these moves without anyone noticing. So that's another crew member that kind of was competent as the chief
Or everyone
engineer.
else just sucks so bad that they didn't notice this guy doing
Yeah.
stuff.
I know. I'd argue that security officer man kind of sucked at his job there that he never caught that.
Yeah.
So like there was Morrow messing up there.
Yeah, that's
His
true.
job was security.
Okay,
Yeah.
one thing I didn't want to bring up within the crew, and what's his name? Tang?
Tang, yeah, the
Tang?
weird one.
Not a synth. Not a synthetic.
Well, but how do
Well,
we know he's
we
not a
didn't see him
synthetic?
die.
Because synthetics
They
can't,
don't scream. They don't scream. That's why.
well, not only that, synthetics can't jerk off. And pretty much in that interrogation with Morrow, Morrow pretty much lays out that he's been watching the sleeping women and satisfying himself.
But
Synthetics can't do that. He's just
but
creepy.
I swear they said or mentioned in the first episode that he was a synth, unless they
No,
were just saying that he is like a
They hint
synth.
one
at
of the
it.
people called him a robot, and it's probably because of his personality. But like in this episode, it showed he is not a synthetic. Besides his emotional reaction when he saw the xenomorph straight attacking him, and then also the satisfying himself to the sleeping women part, and all of that.
Yeah, I was
It's
confused at that.
Yeah.
yeah. I thought that was an interesting reveal that no, he's just a weird,
See?
creepy person. And then he also had that tick, which you don't really see with like he had that sound that like
Yeah,
little
yeah.
clicking thing that he had. So he had like a little tick to him, which you're not, really not gonna see with a synthetic. So I thought that was an interesting reveal because this whole time when we've seen him, we're like, oh yeah, cyborg synthetic humans. But
Yeah.
no, there was just a cyborg on the ship.
Yeah, it is weird because the first
Okay.
episode definitely hints that he possibly is synthetic. Just by remember when they asked
Yeah.
like how much time do we have left, and the fact that he did it by like the second or whatever, by
Hmm.
seconds or minutes. It's like a synthetic would do that. A human wouldn't do that. So it's like why did you do it in that increment as opposed to like weeks and months? It
It's
was
also
so
his role.
weird.
He's the navigator. Like
Yeah.
his
Well,
job is to
yeah, but
know
like
like that. He's not.
you forget he would talk in human talk though. You know what I mean? Like he's still if we find out he's human, it's like why did you decide to like tell him that information like that? It was just
I
very
mean,
odd. It was
what if he's on the
the
spectrum?
spectrum. This
What if he's a savant?
yeah.
And so he's like
A
really good
Viking
with those
savant,
numbers,
yeah.
and obviously just has absolutely no social skills at all. With,
Again, how'd he get on that ship, man? Like how'd he get there? He clearly is a predator. He clearly has some sort of dark past. Come on.
well, we know he was good at his job, being
Yeah,
able
he knew
to
numbers.
calculate to
Yeah.
like the second. But anyway, that's the crew. And we talked a little bit about the escape. I want to get into the actual when we got into the alien attacks. So the first one we really see is the leashes. But I mean, before that, they do find out that the chestbuster has busted out and is somewhere loose on the ship, so they have to like look for that. But the first like real attack that we see are the leeches, which in that jailbreak scene, they while while she was distracted with the octopus, ended up just dropping all its babies inside of her water. which the apprentice ended up
So they
ended
call
up,
it these days.
yep, ended up drinking it because he couldn't handle the hot sauce. No Latino in him at all. Uh, couldn't handle the hot sauce in that. So these leeches, we're starting to see more dimensions to them. When we first saw them, they just seemed like simple leeches, just kind of sucking the blood on stuff. But now we know they unleash ammo when they need to. Their ammo literally started eating this apprentice from the inside out. And then George, if you want to get into the actual like operation scene where they released their other weapon.
Yeah, this scene was actually pretty cool. Like, I liked how graphic the scene was. Like, they full on show a chest being ripped open. We're seeing his organs and these little, they call them ticks, I think, in this moment. And
Yeah.
they're just sucking on like his lungs and everything. And the doctor Rahim tries to rip one off, and then we find out there's like this poisonous gas that it emits. And these two are freaking compromised like that. Like they didn't have a
Yeah.
chance, honestly. Which is the only thing is like, man, imagine if he had drank that whole bottle of water. That would have been crazy. Like I wish they had done that. I wish they had him drink that whole bottle because he would have been infested from
Yeah.
within. Just a whole bunch of them. But yeah, like this creature's like I like this episode because like, we're getting to see the depths and layers of these creatures. Like there's so much more to them. Like I want to see the other things though. What did the other creatures do? Those other bugs that we saw. Like we saw some other giant bugs that were in containments.
We still haven't seen the plant do anything. What does this plant do besides stare at people? Like I want to see
Oh, we
this
know.
plant.
Does
We know
that?
that thing's gonna mess you up. We
Yeah,
know
like
something's coming.
I'm anticipating this plan because we've just been getting staring. But yeah, these ticks that come from the leash creature, in a way has like a skunking ability. When the skunk feels
Killer
threatened,
farts.
Yeah.
it unleashes. Yeah, this tick is like, no. You try to pull it off and it's just poof, and it's an insta kill.
Yeah.
So it shows that the brother, Wendy's brother, is good at his job because he did diagnose the cause of death accurately just from looking at her and knew that it was some kind of poisoning in there. And that's exactly what happened when the doctor died. Oh, Marie, in that scene, how did you feel about that scene with the leashes and the operation and how it took everyone out?
I liked it. I liked the killer farts. I liked the like practical like lungy thing and I liked it. I liked the bleeding from the eyes. Hell yeah. Love that every time. I like I I don't want to say too much, but till the end, but this is what I wish they showed in the first episode. Like just I and we all knew they were going to introduce new aliens and stuff, but I would have been more afraid in the previous episodes of these if I have seen this episode first. Like you know what I mean? I liked it. Long story short, we can move on.
Yeah. Going on to the next creature that was taking people out, of course, is we had the xenomorph in there now, it's fully grown, and it starts off with our resident creeper. Takes him out first. We don't see how it happens. We just know it took him out, and then we already know that it took out Zavri from the first episode here. But here we actually get to see from the other side of the door the thrashing that
Yeah.
that he gave her. Um, One thing I thought that was interesting. So we got a little bit more into because I know I've heard people discussing before with the xenomorph not having ocular extremities, no eyes or things like that. Of a lot of people ask, how do xenomorphs see without doing that? And there's been hints throughout the movies, and this show has touched on it a few times where there might be a little bit of echolocation. They've talked about pheromones. It can smell fear in there. And then with echolocation, there has to be movement from it. And, we recall, oops, we recall on a previous episode when it escaped the netting and destroyed all of the soldiers. And we remember Morrow standing perfectly still and not moving at all. And it didn't attack him. and it left. Uh, so if they are going with the echolocations and the pheromones and with Morrow probably not having that fear itself, and we see in this episode, it seems like he doesn't really care about dying because he probably feels he's gonna get to see his like daughter again. He just wants to finish the mission. So that kind of brought back that other scene where it was like, okay, it makes sense. Him not moving, him just staying still. The xenomorph probably was not aware that it was there. And we see that with Ciara in this one where it sneaks up behind them and she stays still and it's not attacking her right away until she starts moving to get her gun. That's when it kind of realizes that she was there. So I like that it kind of got into that again. That stuff like that can be useful for people who are maybe just getting into it, and this is their first introduction to it to kind of get some of those abilities with the xenomorph. How did you guys feel about that, George?
A lot of that could be argued of how the xenomorph sees and how it attacks. It's good coincidences. I think that it's also just looked really cool. I loved every way, everything about it, how it was shot. It brought me back to like what an alien movie should feel like. I like
Practical.
seeing that full body just stand over her and like they let it sit there. That was nice. It wasn't just like a quick boom done. Like the fact that we got to bathe in this moment of this thing just over her, and like it's just this daunting thing of like, holy crap, how am I going to survive this? And I like that she tried to fight back. She did pull her gun, she was going to shoot, but the thing is, it's a xenomorph. It's better than you.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do?
Hmm.
But like I like that she did try. Like it showed her trying to do things as opposed to other characters we've seen so far. I like to see
Yeah.
in the movement. We got to see that. That was obviously not practical, but I think it looked good. I think they did a good job of melding it all together. So like it felt like it was practical still. I thought it was really well handled, especially since it was a bright scene. Scenes like that are usually in the shadows, take advantage of all the darkness, so you can have a little bit of that leeway to like mess up here or there. The fact that they did it in a super bright hallway and a bright scene and let it hang for that long, kudos to them. I thought it was really well done. I freaking loved it. This was an awesome freaking moment, and it was worth the wait, I can say.
You say it was worth the wait. I was like, this should have been the first episode. Like I feel like this is I complained in the first episode how I thought the xenomorph reveal was so ugh. And in this episode was like, yes, this is what I wanted to see in the first episode. Like we all knew the show was coming. We all had the enough anticipation about the series starting that I didn't need more anticipation to see the xenomorph in its glory 5 episodes in. I think that it actually for me it made me like, okay, come on, where's the freaking xenomorph? Okay, that's all you're gonna show. Okay, it actually made me mad at the show, and now it's like, why didn't you do this first? Like I was like, this would have made the tone and my mindset so different going into the series. But for me, it was like not too little, too late. It was like this is what I wanted, and I'm getting it now, which is nice. But you guys should have did this the first goddamn episode. What are you thinking? But anyway, I liked the scene a lot. I loved seeing it. It made me excited. It gave me the like, like it gave me like the feeling that I want to feel when the xenomorph's on the screen. I liked again that it's like clearly a person in a suit. There was a time where I was like, oh, it's a little too much a person in the suit. Like I could tell, like it almost was too human at one point. And I was like, okay, I appreciate it. But I'm like, kind of look like a person. But then the scene switched. I'm like, okay. And then there was another moment where it's like up and it's like clearly it has some sonar type. What did you say?
The
Where
echolocation.
Echolocation.
radar. Yeah, echolocation because it's really doing the Stevie Wonder in this episode. Like it's really like it's really like you can tell it's
Uh,
like listening and trying to like source out like where is it coming. I know the sound and the language and the vocal sounds and everything are going to play a big part in the series like we saw with Wendy, so they're really showcasing I think how it goes by like sound as well I think. And but there's a time where it's like standing up and I'm like, oh, it looks like a human, but then it started climbing up the ceiling. I'm like, yeah, you saved it just in time. I love that scene. So i I really liked it. I just so badly wish it was like that in the first episode because it would make me more excited for the rest of the series, but now I'm getting it now, and it's confusing. But I liked the whole bit with the xenomorph, and like George said, even the parts where it was more CG, it still looked really good. So liked it.
Well, Marie, technically this happened first. So they did do this first.
Yeah,
I was saying
I know.
to justify this episode because I'm with you, Marie. Like I was telling Jen before as I was watching this episode, if we hadn't been doing this show, I probably would have quit after episode 3. I don't know if I would have
Hmm.
stuck with this show, honestly. But we're doing the show, so it's like, all right, I'm sticking with it, and I'm kind of glad I did. Uh, but I get why they put it where it is. Like I understand from a writing perspective why it is where it is because they're trying to build up the mystery aspect. If you put this in the beginning, the mystery's gone. You don't have all that intrigue to build upon in those first few episodes. So I get it. I understand why it's there. I think maybe they could have put this in episode 3 or 4 as opposed to 5,
Hmm.
but it couldn't be
Yeah.
episode 1. It's totally understandable why it's not
Hmm.
episode 1. I hate it, but I get it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd even say
Hmm.
for the human alien, because I always hear this argument about the xenomorphs, like they look too human. It came out of a human. It takes on the
Yeah,
attributes of the thing that it came out of. So it's going to be
I never
humanoid.
thought that before. It was just like it was like for a split second where I was like, not like, oh, the xenomorph looks too human, but it was like, oh, it looks too much. Like this
It
is where
was when
I'm
it
kind of
scratched
like
his balls, right? That's what did it for me.
yeah, no, but
That
this is where
big.
this is my
It was just
yeah.
like, ah,
Ugh.
okay.
No, no, no. It's just like I can tell it's a human. I love that it's a human, but it's like but I don't want to think that it is a human. know it's a human, but I don't want to look at you like a human. Like it's just like the
Yeah,
weird thing my brain's doing, where it's like, but it saved itself. So
yeah.
I'm not complaining about it. I was just saying something about it.
Yeah, I really like the way it played out. Like George mentioned, when it first, there's a stillness to the scene when it's first behind her
Yeah.
and she turns around and there's that pause, like George mentioned, just kind of let it sit there, and then she made the mistake of moving, and then we were off to the races. And I like the way it kept switching perspectives. So we see her running, kind of like from the perspective of the xenomorph, but then we see her looking back, and then we see the xenomorph kind of like running around the walls and all that stuff. And I like the back and forth there. It really increased the adrenaline of the scene. So I thought that was really good until she locked herself in the other room. Which brings us to the octopus. So after it escaped the lab, we find out that we didn't see this, but we find out it has taken over Schmuel, the engineer.
Yeah.
Uh, it's taken over the engineer, and we see it lunge for Savari, and it knocks her unconscious. As the xenomorph disappears, crawls up, like Marie said, out comes Morrow out of the little grate, and he ends up going in the room, and he sees her knocked out, and there's the Itopus controlled engineer, and the Itopus recognizes a weapon right away. It starts going towards Morrow. He pulls out the weapon, and the octopus kind of stops, recognizes, like, okay, I don't know if I want any of that. But then the xenomorph finds his way in, and here we have Morrow caught between two different aliens, having to
Yeah.
pick his poison. And he chooses, of course, go after the octopus, shoots the octopus with its the electrical charge to make it past it. But then we see the octopus doesn't go after Morrow when it recovers from like the charge. It goes and lunges straight at the xenomorph. George, you mentioned earlier you felt that it might have been like, I guess, like a protective thing, or
Well,
going after the
because there's
miss.
something else you forgot to mention. Before that happens, the octopus screams. It makes it
Yeah.
almost it's almost like "Arr!" like as if it's trying to say something.
Yeah.
So it tries to communicate before all that happens.
It does do that for sure. And we're gonna see how you saw it. I saw it again because I still don't trust the octopus. I saw it as it took over this human, and it saw probably the limitations of his host, and then here comes something else that seems more powerful, where maybe it was trying to go take out the xenomorph, maybe control the xenomorph, or saw the xenomorph as the higher threat in that scene over the human and kind of go after it. because even after its host body is destroyed, it's still crawling. Unfortunately for it, the xenomorph doesn't have an eye that it can take over. Doesn't mean it wasn't trying at that point in time. It could still be the other way, as you're probably going to describe for us, George. But like, feel there's still room where it's like I can't give the full trust to the octopus. But how did you see that scene, George?
I mean, just to repeat, like the octopus, I don't think it's necessarily 100% good either. I just think it's a little bit more good than the other creatures. You know, like I don't think it's 100% trying to do bad things. There's definitely an element of survival, but like I think it's my thinking of this eye thing is that it can understand maybe everything that's inside the brain. Like I think maybe it's taking in the information. So I think it would have been better off in the human because the human can operate the ship, you know, as opposed to the xenomorph, which can't. But yeah, the creature before Morrow goes at it, it makes a sound. Like it looks like it's like almost trying to like make an alarm of sorts. Like because the xenomorph hadn't come in yet, if I remember correctly. It was just him and Morrow. And so it felt like almost as if like he was I don't know, I took this two ways. One way it could be he's trying to warn him because of the threat that's coming, or it could have been where he was like, "Hey, we're in here." You know, like he's telling the xenomorph like, "Check it out, come in this room." So like I'm kind of mixed on those two aspects of what he could have been doing, the eye. But
But
like I think it saved the girl because like you said it knocked her out. Why just knock her out? You know what I mean? At this point, there's no xenomorph in there. Morrow's not in there, but it knows the xenomorph's outside. So it's like I don't see why he would have knocked her out because she was no threat, you know. So like I felt like he did it as a way to protect her because like if you're knocked out, the xenomorph can't hurt you. So like I think part of it is kind of protecting, and the other part of it is survival mode. And that's how I kind of see it. Even like when it was fighting the xenomorph, I think at one point it's trying to take it, and then it realized like okay, I can't take it. Now I'm just like fighting. I felt like it was just like a battle between the two of them.
hmm. What about you, Marie? How did you see it?
I saw it that he was calling the xenomorph there. It almost sounded like he was trying to maybe do it reminded me exactly like the raptors in Jurassic Park calling each other in the kitchen. It's exactly what it reminded me of. So to me, it seemed not like a scream like I'm in pain or a scream like whatever. It seemed like it was a very deliberate, intentional call. This is how I viewed it. And he's telling the xenomorph to come in. And why'd he knock out the girl? I don't know. Maybe bait. I don't know. This is how I feel. This whole show has like their little subplots, and one of them clearly is about power and power struggle.
Mm.
And and with the companies and with the humans and the hybrids and the humans and the synths and the everything, there's always all the power struggle. And who says the alien races wouldn't have the same thing, like have a power struggle, and I'm the one who's going to prevail. I'm the better one. Like that's what the humanity is. So I feel like there's going to be this like little power struggle war between all of the aliens as well, and the best one's going to come out on top. That's what I think. And I think that alien eyeball is trying to find the best host to like F up the xenomorph because I think the xenomorph is like freaking king alien, right? Um, and I think it's all about power. So I don't think that eyeball's good. I think he has his motives, and maybe it will seem like, oh, he's good because he's siding with the with the humans. Oh, he's not attacking the humans. He wants the xenomorph. And I'm like, yeah, but he's gonna use the humans to get the xenomorph. So yeah, that's how I'm viewing it. That's how I'm viewing the whole thing.
Yeah, I saw it as kind of because Morrow ends up coming out through the grate behind the door not too long after the attack. You know we see the attack happen on Savari and then the aliens crawling away and he comes out. I thought he got interrupted. There was that struggle in there because we don't, you know, it's still human power. I don't think it enhances the strength or something of a
Mm.
human when it takes over.
Mm, no.
So, so this probably was a struggle because if she tried to, you know, fight back against the xenomorph, she's definitely fighting back against, Octopus controlled engineer. There's probably some kind of struggle, knocked her out, and all of a sudden Maru's opening the door, and it kind of like walked away, and it kind of had its back to the door, so I don't know if it was trying to kind of blend in or assimilate, kind of like what we saw with the sheep. At first is on his legs, and then it's like, wait, no, sheeps don't do this, and it kind of gets on all fours, how it's supposed to look as a sheep. So it seems like this creature might try to assimilate to what the identity of its host. Maybe that's why it was trying to talk in there, kind of like, no, it's just me. I'm a human. With it. Before Dennis saw the xenomorph as like the bigger threat and went after it. You kind of got me teetering, George, with your argument. I can kind of see the other side of it, so we will see how that goes.
Both are so possible.
Yeah.
Both.
I will say this, probably not the scene to laugh, but I started laughing so hard in this scene after it rips the engineer's body and the octopus comes out and it jumps on the xenomorph, and the xenomorph acted like a human who's got a bug on him or walks through a spider web. The xenomorph was like, "No, get it off! Get it off!
Yeah.
Get it off!" I thought that was this big bad xenomorph. All of a sudden, it's like, "Oh, it's on me! It's on me!" And just started reacting that way. And I could not stop laughing in that moment. But anyway, the last thing I wanted to touch on this is, so we kind of left this for the end, but we have the big reveal. Morrow's investigation, as he's looking through the logs, he finally finds out there is a saboteur. And one of my theories from another episode was completely wrong in this, where I had theorized that maybe this was Yutani crashing it purposely into Prodigy as a power move so they can kind of destroy Prodigy and take over. But we find out
Kid Cavalier has been pulling these damn strings, man. We get to see like he is a little boy genius. He crashed that ship into his own city so he can get them aliens. And as it came out, I was like, okay, I'm not surprised. I was like, yeah,
No.
it was gonna be only one of two people. Either like you said, Jose Yutani, or it's gonna be him. And so it was cool to see like, okay, this guy, like every episode that passes, we're seeing he has some shit up his sleeve. Like, he got some tricks. Like he's manipulating people, he's pulling them in where he needs them to go. And with no like, I got like he's not really that tactful about it though. Like he pushes his weight on them. Like he doesn't like try to like woo them or like say what they want to hear. It's just a little bit of just like, look, you're gonna get money, you're gonna be rich, all right? Why? Because I'm the man. Like that's his attitude. Because I've got all the money, I've got all the brain power. It's like Prodigy, the boy wonder. That's me. And it's just like he has no shame whatsoever. So full of himself over at every scene. And like I actually really enjoyed that little bit that we got to see of finding out he's the one. He's the reason that it went down.
this is his world. They're
Yeah.
all just living in it.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool. In you touched on it a little bit. We're seeing a little bit more of his capabilities because just think he had to have had a way to infiltrate this ship electronically, this enemy ship, to be able to get to one of them because he got to the chief engineer in the Petrovich. That's who he convinced, who from the story it told us was unhappy. They lost people during these missions, and he
Yeah.
mentions it in the log. So he was kind of unhappy with the way it's played out and was seeing this as his way to escape death because he knows Prodigy has some kind of technology, can give him a new body and all of that aspect, which we know from what we've learned that he can't because he has an adult brain. So he's lying to him.
Well, he
With
doesn't
that.
think he doesn't even lie to him. When he's like, you can put me in another body, right? He's like, yeah, I can do that. Maybe. Like he doesn't even
Yeah.
guarantee it. He's like, it might
No.
be able to happen.
He was like, "What if I die?" He's like, "Well, that would suck for you."
Yeah. That's what he does. He doesn't even care to like sugarcoat anything. He's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So we've seen the capability. He was able to do that and get to a mate. This wasn't The Apprentice. This wasn't the junior security officer. This was the chief engineer and was able to get him. Someone that knows the ins and out of the entire ship, knows how to manipulate the cryopod so it shows that he's sleeping and he's not, roaming around, and how to get through all the crevices and all of that stuff. So I thought that was a big reveal. It's not the theory that I have, but it doesn't mean I don't like it. I feel that's also a
Hmm.
really good alternative to do it. And it has a little more substance and makes Cavalier a little bit more of a threat because we see the reach that he has, even deep into space without being there. What were your thoughts on the reveal and how it played out, Marie?
Yeah, just how you guys felt, or it's like I wasn't surprised, but it was nice to see. And we keep saying like, oh, we want to see more from Cavalier. We want to see more like his menacing side or everything, and we're getting it. We're getting it now, and I loved that reveal. And I know it wasn't like your theory, Jose, but at the same time, I love it when my theories don't play out sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, this would have been better, but sometimes I'm like, I know what's gonna happen, and then it's like they do a little twist on me, and I'm like, oh shit. Then it's like impressive when you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That's always a good feeling. So so not surprised, but also like it was good to see, and good to see his character be so. Um, why I
Yeah.
oughta like you just want to slap him in the
Why
face,
I
but like
oughta.
why I oughta. Yeah.
Uh, and I think and we touched on this at the beginning. I feel when it's all said and done to this episode, this reinforces even more why Morrow is how he is and why he is so cold. Because everything that
Mhm.
happened here, everything that broke down, everything that went wrong, it all came down to human emotion leading to mistakes. The saboteur, it's his emotions of his loss, and in wanting something, new, and his greed for something new caused him to sabotage. Those doctors and stuff died because the new captain was so emotionally invested in not losing more people and made a decision against protocol based on emotion, regardless of what Morrow was telling her. So many things went wrong that were human emotion based. That if everyone was calculated, following protocol, just doing what they were supposed to do, none of this would have happened. So it reinforces why Morrow is as cold as he is and not letting his human side stray from what he's supposed to do, and why he was so
Mm.
cold when we first met him in those episodes towards the other human characters. So I thought
I'd
that was
also
really
say
good. Yeah.
there's also this human negligence in this besides just the emotions. Because I was
Mhm.
telling Jen, it's like that scene with the leeches, that would have happened regardless. Like there was no sabotage there. That was just her being negligent and
Mhm.
not doing her job properly. So those doctors and that kid probably would have died regardless, or at least her. Like she would have been jeopardized regardless because of her own stupidity. So like he's seeing all this play out, and it's just like, man, can no one do their job right around me? Like that's all he's seeing around him. Like there's kids who don't know what to do, and they don't have superiors that can teach them what to do. I got a guy who's
Mhm.
jerking off to my workers over here. Like there's just a whole bunch of incompetence. Like no one does their shit right. So it's like I'm
Mhm.
with you. It's like, yeah, it's better to not be human. Be a machine and just focus on the objective, and that's it.
Yeah.
Human error at the end with so many things. But overall, I personally felt myself we got a strong episode. We got an episode that I feel in atmosphere, in aesthetic, was closer to what we got from the early movies.
Mhm.
Overall, this added some of the tension that we weren't getting in the earlier episodes, especially when it came to the threat of these creatures. They kind of build it out, not just for the xenomorph, but for the other creatures. We got to see a little bit more of Morrow's background. So, like, even though we had to backtrack, I feel this is a very strong episode going into the second half that hopefully now they can build off of. Marie, what were your final thoughts on the episode?
This was my favorite episode so far. It obviously felt very alien. The set was awesome. I know you guys maybe disagree, but I wish this was the first episode. This is what I wanted to see when I first turned the series on. Um, it I think it would have changed my whole outlook on the series if this was the first episode, since I really didn't like any episode until now. Um, but maybe omit some things, like maybe take some things out of this episode, but for the majority of this episode, I wish this was the one that they started with. I loved the line, "They want their monsters, here they come," when he Morrow was had the saboteur and the you know
Hmm.
and I thought that would have been such a good line near the end of the first episode. Because it's just like that is a quote that like kicks off the whole series, in my
Yeah,
opinion. It's just like one
yeah,
of those like, oh shit, they're coming. Not just the xenomorph, but all the monsters. And it makes you fear all the aliens more. This whole episode made me like more interested in the other aliens, when before I was just like, who cares about you? Like you're pissing me off. Go away, you're annoying. But just that quote alone, I'm like, this is a first episode quote to get you hooked and interested into a series. I don't know, some bad choices, I think, were made until this episode. But another thing I was thinking, it was like 15, 20 minutes into the episode, and I said, I think the writer directed this episode, because the last several episodes, not sure about the first episode, but the last three at least, I think four episodes were directed by somebody else.
Yeah,
And
he
I
did
could
do
just
it.
feel,
yeah.
yeah, he did. And at the end, I was like, I knew it. I just knew you could feel the actual passion for Alien. You could feel it was more true to the Alien franchise. Um, you can tell it was directed in a way that was just way more story based and like lending to the story and character development. So I'm like, the writer had to have directed this, and it was just so obvious. And I hope we see more episodes directed by him, because I clearly like this one the best. I like that it humanized Morrow and you sympathize with him, because even though he's not a villain per se, I like when it shows backstory to a villain anyway, and you sympathize with them a little bit, so you can see their motive and see why they are the way they are, especially when there's a lot of pain. I loved the scene where it shows Morrow wiping away his tear and then wiping away the xenomorph spit, xenomorph drool, and those went back to back. I don't know why I liked it. I just did. And what else do I have here?
You know what I looked at that as?
And
That was him wiping
what?
away pieces of his humanity.
Yeah,
So like
totally.
when his daughter died, that was like one piece he wiped off. Like that part of me's
Yeah.
gone. When he wiped it off the
Mhm.
saliva, now this part of me's gone. Like I stopped caring
Yes.
about this amount of people. Now I stopped caring about all these people.
Yeah.
It- it-
Like
and
these
then
are
I
things that
think
they're breaking me. Yeah.
Yeah.
to add to that real quick, I think in that scene to add to it, at that point he still had a little humanity left because I think he
Mhm.
had some fear because we see the difference in the way the
Mm,
xenomorph is reacting and trying to tear through it and knows he's there. So he
Yeah.
probably was feeling some fear there compared to in the earlier episode when he comes across the xenomorph and the xenomorph can't tell that he's there and leaves. So I think that's a good point that you bring up there that that was kind of the last bit of his humanity leaving.
Yeah. It was impactful, big
yeah.
time. Just one last thing. I loved how they use that. Oh, I've been complaining about the rock music. I still hate it. Still don't like it. Even though I love Smashing Pumpkins and I love that it ended. I love that. I didn't love they ended with the song, but I liked the song that they ended with, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't mind at all hearing like a 1950s song in, because that's like nostalgic, and that's like adds a sense of longing, and it just added to the story and made you feel that scene more. And so if they want to add more like 1950s music, that's fine, but this like, other rock music, I'm not into it, even though I'm thinking about the 1990s, like it's not nostalgic even though it was so long ago. But man, it feels like it was 10 years ago, so it's not the same. But Yeah, this was my favorite episode so far. It's a shame to me that it wasn't the first because I would have been more interested in the whole series. But now I'm like, we have to go back to the hybrids and all this other crap, and I want to stay more into like that, you know? Like, I'm like, okay, but hopefully the next episode, maybe I'll have a little warmth in my heart from this episode. I just wish it was maybe episode 3 at the very latest.
What about you, George? What are your final thoughts on this episode?
I feel like it had a lot of good stuff to offer. Like just little things I want to point out that I really enjoyed. It's just small things, but like I liked when the octopus was on the camera.
Oh,
Remember that?
yeah.
Like it just made us feel like we're in this room with them, you know? Little stupid
Hmm.
things like that. Like, oh, that's a nice little touch. Nothing else in the
Fourth
episode
wall
really
break.
hit. Yeah, you know, it's kind of cool. You know, it's like when spit hits the lens, you know what I mean? Like so like
Or blood.
I enjoyed that. I like that the reveal with Kid Cavalier now has, at least it had me thinking like, does he have moles inside of Utani? You know, is he
Hmm.
personally hacking into Utani and other corporations to see what each of them is working on? You know, I think that maybe he's hacking into them because he's so smart, supposedly. So like he's finding out the ins and outs of everyone's company, and this is how he's able to like rise so quickly. It's not just that the money and everything, it's because like he's learning about everyone, and this is why he was able to advance so quickly in what he's working on. But I like having those little thoughts. I also like you said, there's that threat of the aliens now. Seeing
Hmm.
those remaining like baby ticks or whatever go into the other bodies. We didn't see them. In episode 1, all we saw was the original two, maybe the original two. But now we know there's at least what 4 to 6 more out there. Did they get captured? Are they still loose?
Oh,
You,
yeah.
you know, it's like the little things like that. Like I like having those questions. Like that's where this show really shines, is in the deep thought experiments between what it is to be human and then these other little debates that we get to have of like, what is this happen? What is this little thing? You know, I thought all those things are really fun and awesome.
I'm looking forward to what they do with the second half, how this switches. This is a momentum builder episode.
Yeah.
And going into the second half, that's when, you have to buckle down and really like drive it home if you want a season two, which I know they want a season two. So these last three episodes are gonna be big. Just like in this episode, we saw the shit go down in the ship, and that's what kind of reinvigorated the episode. Hopefully in the next three is we're seeing that translated onto this island where things start going awry, but to a bigger scale. And hopefully they can capture that same effect going forward. But if they do, you guys will find out because we will be covering every episode going forward. We will be here for 6, 7, and 8. So I want to thank those of you who joined us for this bonus NAS episode. If you enjoyed the episode and want to catch any of our previous episodes as well as any future episodes, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you can be alerted when we drop new episodes in the future beyond just Alien Earth. If you didn't enjoy the episodes, well, maybe one of the other ones will do the trick. They'll be your cup of tea. You can find our show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever else you find podcasts. We're there. And if you do love our amazing personalities or you just want to hate watch each of us, you can find us at Not a Strong Start on all the social media platforms. I have been your chief officer for this episode, Jose.
I have still been your security liaison, George.
I've been your science bitch, Marie.
Science bitch.
And as always, we might not always have a strong start, but we guarantee to sometimes, maybe, possibly have a strong finish. Until next time.